Hi there. So we wanted our first video to be similar to like a summary as to what our channel promotes. Now, it's probably not going to be the most entertaining video, so to speak, but here at Inspiring Our Minds, we believe this video is going to be one of the most important we ever make. This video is about critical thinking. Alright, so what is critical thinking and why should you and me care about it? Well, in short, critical thinking is the ability to make clear, logical and informed decisions about all types of situations. And you should care about this because it allows you and me to make the best decisions possible in any type of situation. Oh, and bosses love it too. They love critical thinkers. Alright, let's explain this by putting it in an analogy, by giving you guys an example to understand. Now, if I said to you, the age of the Earth, 4.6 billion years old, would you believe me? Well, if you do believe me, then you've probably heard it before, or you've read it in a textbook or a science journal or an article or something like that. But the real question here is, how do we know it's 4.6 billion years old? Let's go sit down. Alright, let's get back to those science books. Now, the reason why we know the age of the Earth is actually kind of similar to how we know dinosaurs existed. Because we have evidence. So the evidence that we have for dinosaurs is their fossils. Another plane. Fossil aeroplanes. Alright, there we go. So fossils are the remains of these animals, these dinosaurs, right? They can be either the bones, or their skin, or even the contents in their stomach. They're preserved underground or in the ocean for us to discover and find and learn about them. So then, what's the evidence that we have for the age of the Earth? Well, it's rocks. Now, with these rocks, there's two types of things that we look for. We can look at the layers of rocks that we have on Earth, and that can give us a pretty good idea about what the climate was like on the surface of the Earth. So if the Earth was volcanic, or if there was air on Earth, or if there was lots of wind, as you might be hearing now. And the second way that we can determine the age of the Earth is by using a technique called radiometric dating. Now, what radiometric dating is kind of complicated to explain, but basically radiometric dating looks for the radioactive elements inside rocks and looks at how long they've been decaying for, how long they've been around for, and how far they have left to go. The physics behind radioactive decay is very reliable, so we use this as an estimate in conjunction using other rocks from other sources in our solar system, like rocks from the moon or meteorites that have landed on Earth. We'll talk more about radiometric dating in another video, but for now, we've linked some really good sources down there in the description that you can check out if you're interested. So what we've done here is we've applied critical thinking into estimating the age of the Earth. We've looked for the evidence and confirmed the facts. But what if someone said to you, "Hey man, come jump off a really high bridge with me. It's gonna be awesome!" No. Now, before we even say anything, alarm bells should be ringing in your head because jumping off a building or a structure of any height is dangerous. We understand that jumping off a structure is dangerous, but let's pretend that we didn't, and let's apply critical thinking to explain why that's the case. Jumping off a really high bridge or a building or any surface is dangerous because there are uncertainties involved in when you fall. I'll come back up. Alright, let's pretend that you're jumping off a high surface into water. And let's pretend this water is not clear, it's quite murky, so you can't see the bottom. Well, first of all, if you can't see the bottom, you don't know how deep it is. You don't know what's going to be below the surface, which can be dangerous. There's uncertainties. Even if you did know what was below, if the water was clear, there might be something that comes underneath really quickly, like a school of fish, or a boat, or any type of thing. So there's danger involved in that. Now let's pretend it was concrete or grass that you were jumping onto. Now jumping onto concrete is going to hurt badly, especially from a height. Now you can do the maths using force is equal to mass times acceleration, but basically what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of force on your body in a very small amount of time, which can lead to bruises, broken bones, and even death. Yeah, death. Anyway, well, let's pretend that you were jumping onto water, even from a high surface, and it was clear. What would happen? Well, believe it or not, even jumping onto water is going to be just as bad as jumping onto concrete, because you're moving at such a fast speed that the water isn't going to be able to get out of your way as you hit the ground. You'll know that if you've ever done a belly flop into a pool, right? And that hurts a lot because the water can't get out of the way of you. If you dive in or you do like a pencil jump in, it's a lot easier because there's a lot less surface area, so the water only has to be pushed out less. But even just belly flopping to a pool like a meter high even, that hurts, right? Imagine doing that from a really high structure. That's gonna lead to broken bones, bruises, and some bad stuff, which isn't gonna be good for anyone. And so there we go. We know that jumping off a building or a bridge or any structure is not good for you. But what we did was we applied critical thinking skills to determine that it isn't good for you. We looked at the evidence. We thought about the situation. We thought about the facts. And we said to ourselves, hey, if I do this, is this going to be good for me? We evaluated the statement and made the best decision possible, which is, don't jump off a building. Here's why that stuff was important. In 2020, the Western world has so many resources and so much information, and it's so easily accessed via the internet. Shifting through that information of what's correct or what's accurate and what's biased is so hard. How do you shift through the endless amounts of fake news, biased media, and propaganda? Well, it's hard, but if you apply critical thinking to each of these sources, you can shift through and find out what's true and what's false. So how do you find information sources that you can trust? Well, think critically about them. Look for the facts and the information, as well as the motivations of the people who are publishing the information, and deduce if it's genuine. We can't really spoon feed you exactly how to think critically. You've kind of got to do a bit of practice in different situations, which is what we did before. But the one advice that we can give you is that look at multiple sources. Don't just read the one source or the one book or the one journal. Look at lots of different things and gather information that's similar and different. Just before the wind comes. How good was that? Wait for the plane. Well then, some of you might say, how can you trust us? And to you we say, great question. We will always include our information and our sources in the description, as well as any other information that's required. It's hard to come off as genuine, but we use critical thinking ourselves, and flies. We use flies too. It's hard to come across as genuine, but we use critical thinking skills ourselves to look at the sources that we're using and determine if they're legitimate or not. So have a look at those sources in the description and judge them for yourself. Anyway, so what's the whole point of this? So what's critical thinking? Well, it's to listen to people and to be curious, but also a little skeptical, and look for the proper evidence that's associated with whatever they're talking about. Think about the evidence. Is the evidence correct in this case? Doesn't mean you don't have to listen to other people. Always do. That's nice. Listen to your parents, listen to your family, do all that, because that's important, because in most cases, they know what's best for you. But just ask questions. Be curious. Go and learn about the world and the universe, right? Be curious about what we know and how we know it. So go out and ask questions, go learn about things, go explore stuff, go figure out the secrets of the cosmos or the secrets of how to be the best football player or anything, whatever interests you. Go and explore it. Go explore the things that you love and the things you didn't even know you loved. That's what we try to do here at Inspiring Our Minds, because life Life is awesome, man. Life is so cool. So go make the most of it. Think critically. Thanks for watching. Did you notice the haircut change in that clip?